Hi, good afternoon, everybody. We would like to thank you all for joining us today in our session. We are co-hosting with NEDCO. We have Mr. Toby and Mr. O'Brien here with us today who will be supporting us from NEDCO. Mr. Toby will be starting with us on our business registration, and then we'll be able to take over after for the opening of a business bank account. We want to thank all the creatives for being part of this with us, our learning series. This week we have the business registration, and then next week we will be having the tax compliance. And following that, we'll also have an OPR registration learning series in person that y'all can feel free to register for as well. So I will let Mr. Toby take over. Thank you and enjoy the session. Also, question and answers we will have towards the end. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. You all see my screen?
Yes, we can see it clearly.
All right, so it's a pleasure. As indicated, my name is Toby. I am one of the business advisors at NEDCO, and with me today is also Mr. Michael O'Brien, who's a business incubation. Michael O'Brien is the acting senior business incubation officer, right? So today we want to go through business registration and the guidelines on terms of opening a business bank account. Start with business registration first. Now, before we go into the business registration aspect of the presentation, it's important to know that the business registration is really the formalization of your business, because prior to actual registration, you should have at least started to test the market to see the viability of the business enterprise you choose to start, right? So before you start, we have a little guideline in terms of how we believe most entrepreneurs should start. Successful entrepreneurs should start at this. So signature here, the assumption is that you would have done your research, right? You would have looked for the gaps in the market that you want to fill. You would have built some sort of online presence in terms of getting some feedback in terms of your products or services that you plan to offer. And you would have started testing the waters with your family, friends, and coworkers to see how your product or service is responding to in the market. And you would have made a plan and indicate how you're going to roll out these operations. Okay. And you would understand your finances. Now, and that is very key in terms of the second part of the operations, because once you would have done this legwork in terms of laying out the foundation for your business operations, and you start the process of registering a business, those things will inform you as to the type of legal structure that was best suited for you, as well as the amount of capital, startup capital you would need. And therefore, when you start your business operations and you are embarking on the process of registration, you're thinking long term, you're not thinking just short term. Okay. Area that we will recommend persons will need to do before they start registration, and I'll speak a little more about why that is there's something called, you see on my screen, something called the business model canvas. This canvas, or this simplified version of our business plan, outlines all the key areas of your business, from who are your key partners, what are the key activities, what are the resources you need, what are the value propositions that you are trying to serve, what are the customer relationships you're trying to develop, and most importantly, on the right-hand side, what is the customer segment that you're trying to target, right? And you need to be aware of what your revenue streams are. And once you have a clear picture of these things in mind, recommend that, then you are better equipped to navigate the registration process without having too much hiccup. Right. So the question is, you have been in operations as a business, and why would you want to register? Because as we know, there are quite a few persons who operate in business or do business activity for quite some time and they're not registered. And there is some confusion as to why should I register? We see that there are four areas, key areas outlined there. When you have registered your business, you are able to now claim the name and brand of your business. It is important to know that if you are in operations and you have a name for your business out there and you're not registered, it means that legally you have no entitlement to that name that you're branding, because there have been instances where persons have started their business, started operating, and build a little bit of a name and a brand for themselves, and they're not registered, and someone else registered a name very close to that. And then when they start the process of registering, they realize, oh my, the name that I wanted is no longer available. Second part of it is that it is a legal obligation that once you start engaging in commercial activities, 14 days after which you need to start the process of registering. Right? Third part of it is that you, in terms of collaborating with other entities in your ecosystem, be it banks, government institutions, international entities, they would want to know that they're dealing with a entity that is legally able to engage in business activity. And most importantly, growth, because we get involved in business, either we trying to make a profit, we're trying to change the world, or we're just trying to share the value that we have within us with the rest of the world. And registering your business, formalizing your operations is the best way to be able to do that. I also thought that is important for us to kind of get an understanding as to why we want to register. All right? But the question is, and this is oftentimes a question many people ask, I want to register a business, right? And what do I register? Now, there are general four different types of legal structures that you can use. There's a sole trader, as you see on the screen here. You have the partnership, you have the limited liability company, and you also have the cooperative structure. You also have a fourth type, which is the non-profit organizations, which is a little different and is not directly covered at this point in time, but that's a slightly different type of registration to the business registration of these three legal entities, right? So generally, the sole trader is usually for where it's just one person in the business, and that person is responsible for the strategic direction of the business as well as the operations of the business. This is oftentimes the most common form of business registry, legal form of business registered, because most persons, when they start and they have this idea burning in their head that they want to express, it's just them alone. They're the only person involved in the business, and the sole trader is usually what persons registered. The partnership structure is where it's you and someone else, and no more than 50 other persons that can come together and decide, okay, we want to pool our skills together and form a partnership. The informal reference to the partnership is a combination of sole traders. So it's basically two persons in a similar line of business coming together, and they want to have creative collaboration in operations. Third form of operations is we're all familiar with, is the limited liability company, or not, right? Where it's two or more persons as well. And the beauty of this one is that it's two parts, where you have directors who are legally responsible for the strategic direction of the business, but you also have the opportunity of incorporating investors and having them as shareholders, which can be devolved into non-executive directors. And the limited liability form is the best form for future investment and for continuity. In terms of the third form, which is the cooperative, that is more of a community-based type operations, where you need a minimum of 12 persons. So that is where you exist in a community and it's a group of you all, and you all have an interest in developing a business or developing a particular area of enterprise, and you'll come together and form a cooperative. The most common form of cooperative is farmers, usually persons in those industries, come together and they form a cooperative. Okay. Right. So just want to give you all a little outline of the advantages and disadvantages of each form, because oftentimes persons will come and ask, which legal structure should I set up, right? So a brief outline, the advantages of a sole trader, it's just one person. You have complete control of everything, and it's very flexible, right? It's very easy to set up. There's a very small registration cost. It's private. You are the only person involved in the business, so you have almost sole rights over the direction of the business. And most importantly, I know most persons will be, this is the biggest motivation for most persons registering sole tradership is the simplified tax structure. On the other hand, however, one of the biggest disadvantages that cause for some persons some caution in registering a sole trader business is a personal liability, where the liability is of the business and yours are overlapped. So therefore you may face some risk in terms of personal exposure when it comes to the business operations. Another disadvantage is that some clients or some individuals and companies would not do business with a sole tradership. Major reason for that is continuity, because a sole trader business, when the sole trader dies, the business dies with him. Right? Another disadvantage is the lack of investment support. And for anyone who is in operations as a unregistered sole trader, where everything they doing for themselves, you know that there's poor work-life balance. You work almost 25 hours a day as a sole trader because everything rests on your shoulders. Right? Now, the partnership, where we mentioned it's a combination of sole traders. That is where you bring another person on board into the business in a legal manner, where it's now two or more persons are now owners of the business operations. The benefits are, when you're making decisions, you now have someone you can bounce ideas off of, right? You can now easier maneuver the legal structures, the legal issues involved, because now you have someone else to help you navigate those issues. And it's still a simplified form of business operations, just more than one person created. And the person that you add to the business, they can bring additional capital as well as expertise, right? A disadvantage, however, is that the liability, while it's not just you alone, it is now joined with you and another. It means that to some extent, the partner can impact adversely your liability situation, whereby they can, depending on the partnership agreement, they can cause you all to get involved in agreements that may not be in the best interest of the partnership, and you can be exposed. That's why in this structure, you have to ensure that whoever you partner with, there's trust, and things are written whereby individuals are made fully aware of what their roles and responsibilities are, and how much they can cause the business. They can indebt the business, or they can bind the business to different agreements. And there's a risk of disagreement and fraction in terms of the partnership, and each partner can adversely impact the action of another. The limited liability company, as we know, the advantage is a limited liability. Most persons willing to conduct business with the LLC. Directors bring additional capital. You have more administrative support. The disadvantage is, and we caution individuals, the documentation aspect of it. There's a lot more documentation required when you're doing the limited liability business. So you need to be on top of your documentation and the bookkeeping. Right? The same risk present itself in terms of disagreements and fraction among the directors, and directors' actions can impact the business. And there are higher fees and longer procedure for registration. Right, just a repeat of that. Right. So once you kind of outline what legal structure you want, the next step is to actually start the registration process. Now, the government in 2023, they introduced a new system called the Companies Registry Online System. This is a system, a portal where each individual that is involved in business in Trinidad and Tobago has to get something called cross ID. Right? And on the screen, there's an outline of the process that is taken. So the first step, when you're registering now, is you go onto the Company Registry Online System and you get an ID. It's recommended at this point as well to do a name search in terms of identifying off the bat if the name that you want to name your business is available, right? Once you register for the Company Registry Online System, it takes about two days to a week to get approval to be on the system. But in the meantime, while waiting, the recommendation is to do a primary search to see whether or not the name that you want to name the business is available. This is a screen here where when you go into the Registry General website, you type in the name that you're looking to register for the business, type it in there, and usually you will be able to see whether the business name that you want to use is available. Right? Now, for those of you who will, once you're on the Company Registry Online System and you're still not sure, you want to register, but you're not sure what name should I name my business, right? That's a little source of contention sometimes, because sometimes persons will do a preliminary search for the name and it seems available. However, when they start the registration process, the actual name when they submit the name, there are issues, right? So on your screen, you'll see some guidelines in terms of when you're registering. There are some do's and some don'ts. So the recommendation is when you're registering your business, do keep the name short and simple. Make sure there's a story behind your name. Make sure the name that is easy to pronounce. Consider the meaning of the name in different languages, right? So if it is, you want to ensure that the name that you register for your business, remember, this is a long-term relationship you're going to have. So therefore, you don't want to register a name that means something offensive in another language, particularly in Spanish or French, because you have to remember that we're right closer to Venezuela and very close to the Spanish market. So you have to be very mindful of what connotation in your name will be in another language. Another thing is try to test the name. Test it out with your friends, families, see what is the response to the name when persons hear the name, right? Try and do a pre-search and compare other names in the industry to see if it is you will be too close in name to somebody else, and what is the perception behind the name that you might choose in terms of whether the name could be close to another company, and if the perception is the one you want to align yourself with, right? On the other side, we have don'ts. Please don't include a location when you're naming the business, right? Because that tends to be rejected by the committee. Don't pick a name that gives the wrong impression. You don't want to give a name that when persons are looking up for you, they're thinking you, for example, in the healthcare, and you're naming something that could be associated with smoking or something of that nature, right? Make sure you don't want to give the wrong impression. Don't get obsessed with keywords. This is very important because sometimes when you submit your name for approval, the name, they may send it back to change. And sometimes the objection is not really is in the entirety of the name, is there are some words that they ask you to change. Some persons, which I've known of, are so married to a particular word that they don't want to change that one little word. And sometimes persons have their name before the committee for quite some time, sometimes months before the name is approved. Right? So don't use your name if it's associated with something else. And most importantly, if you submit a name that was given back to you, don't simply choose a name that you don't like. Because if you can't connect with the name, chances are your customers won't be able to as well. Right? And this is the process that you use for the CR, right? For both individual and for company accounts. Right, so this is the process. Yes. Right, so persons that apply to register the business, they must apply for an individual account under the company registry online system. And once you register the company registry online system, then you link that to your business account. What do you need? So one of the key documents that is absolutely required when you're registered is a birth certificate PIN. Everyone has that on their birth certificate number, on their birth certificate. So once you start the process of getting the cross ID, you need to know your birth certificate PIN. You need to have two forms of valid ID, two forms of national valid ID, picture ID, of course, right? It will be used to verify for you to be able to get the cross ID. Right, so if, for example, there are instances where persons have a change of name, right, either via marriage, or they may have to have had a legal document changing their name because, back many years ago, some persons would have been given one name legally, right, and then for some reason they went into the ID office and they were able to register another name, and on their birth certificate there's one name and then on the ID card is another name. You have to sort that out first, right? I mean, it sounds strange, but I've actually heard of instances where this happens, right? So make sure that your ID, what is on your ID card is actually on your birth certificate, that the spelling is correct, right? Everything. Right. The other document you need is a headshot selfie where you hold one of your national IDs next to your face and you take a picture of that, and that needs to be uploaded in your application. Right, and then, when all the features are across, you have to upload your digital signature. Right? All right. So in terms of once you apply for the cross ID, the next step is that you have to register you have to apply to register the name. Now, registering for reserving your business name, it costs $20. Now, in order to be able to pay that $20, there's a system, as you're seeing on your screen here, to be able to put money on your cross ID account to be able to pay for it. You will see on the right-hand side, there's a PIN number. Once your cross ID is approved, you will get automatic registration via email. You will be emailed account access and PIN number. And you use that information to top up. Now, to top up your account, you're seeing denominations there. You just choose the denomination and you follow the process to be able to add an amount to your account. And the government has made that process very easy, whereby you can now either use your credit card, or I'll show you another process where you can actually go in printer form and have it added to your account. But the question is, who should get a cross ID? Not as I said, every individual must have a cross ID who is interested in getting involved in business. So for the limited liability company, all the directors, the secretary, and the partners, they must have the cross ID, and their cross ID must now be linked to the registered company, right? And in instances where persons are appointed to do official business for the company, like the secretary, for example, they also have to have a cross ID, and that ID must be linked to the company in question. So this is seeing on the screen as you see several steps. When to register for the company registry online system, you log into the company registry online system or the Ministry of Legal Affairs, and then there's an area to click to register here. And once you do that, you will be guided to enter your details and information to then apply for a cross ID. These screens are the screens that you will see when you're registering your account. So once registered, you will see the capacity to top up on the left-hand side here, and you will choose the denominations. And as I said, the payments could be done either. You can do several things. So if you are computer savvy and you're comfortable using a computer, you can actually go onto the cross system, and once you register, you can then choose to go and register your business name, right? Or you can choose to have an agent do it on your behalf. But if you're having an agent do it on your behalf, your agent has to have access, because once you register the cross, the agent now will have to get access to your cross account to be able to do the transaction on your behalf. On the middle screen, you see a document, and this document can be used to top up your account in the absence of the individual having a credit card or online means of payment. Right, so you use this form, you put your information, the PIN number, which you would have gotten when you registered your cross account, for the amount you want to top up, and then you go to one of the regional municipal offices and you make the payment. On the right-hand side here, you're also seeing the cost of each of the registration aspects of registration. So to register the name, as I said, for the business registration, so that is where is a sole trader business, the registration is $20. For a limited liability company, to reserve the name is $25. For the business registration, which is then after the name has been reserved, then you pay $220 to register the business. For the limited liability profit company, it's $520. For the not-for-profit, it's $620. And then a list of fees for the notice of directors and the secretary are there attached. Right, to register for the company registry online system, it's no cost to register for the cross. Once registered, you can then just go through the cross system to be able to file the following. So filing of the annual returns, change of directors, the notice of secretary, and notice of change of address. All these are done online on the cross system. The process to do so is very straightforward. You see on the left-hand side, in the corner, where you have the icon of a name registration. Once you have access through the cross, you would go through the stages, click on the name registration, and it will take you through the entire process of registering a business online. Right? So the process really is you go to the cross, register the business, and then once registered, you then for the instances where it's a limited liability company or a partnership, you have to go and get a separate BI, board of identity number. And then once the business starts creating employees, then you should go and register with the board of identity to pay for your employees. Are there any questions?
I think we'll take questions to the end. We'll go on to the
All right.
yeah.
So now I'll pass you on to Mr. O'Brien, and he will take you through the registration of the opening of a business bank account.
Right. So as you register your business and you got the name, now we're going to start ramping up. We're going to start increasing our operations. So everyone knows and has been advised surely that we must not commingle our funds. We must try to have a separation between us and the legal entity called the business. So that's where the banking accounts and other institutions become in, because we try to separate the funds so that we can account properly. So what do the banks provide us? They provide us with a safe place to manage funds. Once we have the safe place where we're passing funds through, we're now able to access different various financial products, be it links machines, be it online payments, those sort of things. And of course, it'll always look credible for you as a small business owner when you tell someone to pay you and they're paying into a business account. It makes you look credible, makes you look as if you have been wrong. It makes you look like a stable entity that we can do business with. Right. Toby.
That's all.
Yeah.
Stop sticking.
We have a second here with us.
That's all, Mr.
But we know over the past few years, it has been a bit difficult to get bank accounts open. So we know that's a cry of the small business and micro sectors. But we have some tips here to help you how to choose a bank, look for banks or any financial institution that offering products tailored for you. Look for banks that have a small business desk that may have some understanding of your particular needs and wants. Consider the account, what type of account they want you to open, and the service charges. Consider what kind of loans you may be able to get, because that is one of the major things we're trying to do when you're trying to build up your financial credibility so that you're able to access financing to grow your business. Evaluate your fees and the quality of service. So in Trinidad, we have Republic Bank, FCB, GMMB, who actually have dedicated desks for small business and the SME sector, and NEDCO also, in terms of, we need that kind of data for us to be able to support your loan applications with us in case you want to come seek finances through us. Right. So there are two basic banking products for micro startups. We have business bank accounts and we have savings accounts. As we know, the business bank account is important because it separates your personal and business finances. As I said before, it provides credibility and helps with tax reporting, and it makes tracking business expenses easier. And for persons who don't have a bank account generally, savings accounts help with because they are small accounts that have minimal fees, and they encourage you to have the habit of saving for the future, for your future. Some other services that banks offer, mobile banking services, which is accessible, convenient, and suitable for small businesses. So when you all go to a pop-up shop or you all meet a customer on the road, you can use the app, the link, the Encash, those sort of things to process payments. And the benefit, as we said, of all this is that it keep next. Let's skip this. Go on. So this is an article here showing these are just articles and clippings showing that what we were talking about before, that there are banks out there that who are seeking your support, and they have services tailored in terms of financial, in terms of accounts and what kind of accounts you can open with them to assist you. So GMMB has a lot of things going along, and also Republic Bank. So what do you need to open an account? Generally, for all legal forms, you will need to be a natural born citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, or you have a CSME passport, and you have a valid email address, valid identification, utility bills no more than 6 months old, a letter of authorization or lease where applicable. If you're renting from someone, a job letter or payslip where applicable. And these should not be much older than 6 months, right? If you are opening one of the businesses, a business account, well, that is where it gets a bit more technical, because now they usually ask, in case we all are new, so most times they will ask for income projection broken down by months for 3 years of operation if it's a new business. If you are in business before, they will usually ask for audited financial statements or management accounts if you're opening an account with a new bank. If you have a LLC, it gets a bit more complicated, because now you have to have, go back, skip. You have to have a company resolution which represents the signed consent of all directors of your business that you are authorized to open an account at the bank, and you should also have a business stamp as prescribed for use in the company's bylaws. So as an LLC, which is the most complicated one, you'll have to have a letter of request to open the account, the company bylaws, you'll have to work with your certificate of incorporation, your articles of incorporation, your notice of directors, your notice of secretary, and your notice of address, which are all things that you'll gain when you go through the cross system. Those documents will be produced to you, so you have to present them at the bank to be able to open your bank account. So some further considerations that certain banks may ask is the proof of registration with the Financial Intelligence Unit. That's based on what size business it is, license to or permits to operate as a business. If it's a lawyer or something professional, a professional license, proof of identity of all directors and company secretary, proof of identity and address for all account signatories, and information on the identity of shareholders holding 10% or more of paid-up share capital. So that is why we say the LLC is a bit more complicated than the sole trader and the parent company. The sole trader, you will only need the company registration, the projections for the 3 years, and different brands have minimal criteria for that. But once you're going company, you have a lot more requirements to actually get this business bank account open. Now, the reason why we want to register your bank account is because you want to build up that credit. You want access to financing from not only them, but from other institutions, such as even NEDCO, grants, all these things. When you come to the government sector, the state, and you apply, they will want to send the money to, it just looks much better that you are in operation and you are established, it gives you that credibility. So when you go to a financial institution, generally you get advice, specialized advice on what to do, what services they offer, and these things could be used to your advantage in terms of you financing and growing your business. Keeping money away from the banks expose your business to bad advice from persons who believe in grossly understating and hiding cash flow is good for your business, when it only makes you show low business activities. So you find persons who don't have an idea, don't use bank accounts. When you ask them, okay, what was your sales like? What is that? They usually grossly understated. I won't say underestimate. They understate what they think, and that doesn't help them. And they will understate their income and overstate their expenditure. So when you have a proper system to track, which is your bank account, you are now able to actually produce much more accurate records, and that could help you in terms of gaining credit. So banks follow the 5 C's of credit. They skip. Which is they look at your capacity to pay, the capital that you have invested in the business, your character, which they will see by your deposits, by your credit score, those sort of things, the conditions of the economy, and what collateral you have to offer. And similarly, with NEDCO, we look at those things also. We have our system called the 360, which looks at these things: your capacity to pay, the capital that you have invested, your character, which is reflected in your credit score, the conditions of the economy or that industry that you're in, and the collateral that you are able to supply. So those are the 5 C's of credit. There are also the 4 M's, which similar, because we look at who is your team in terms of your management, who's the market in terms of the industry, and your money, which is for your financials, and including we look at your debt service ratio, and materials, meaning what security you bring. So the 5 C's and the 4 M's are similar. It's just some different banks might adopt based on which bank you go to. That's how they look at you, and that's how they make the credit assessment based on.
I just want to add, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So just to add that the banks are under no obligation to open a business bank account for you, right? So, and because the industry is opening up in a large sense in terms of more and more small businesses looking for different avenues to open their accounts, to formalize the operations, the banks are now, from what some persons are telling me, is that sometimes they're going even deeper and asking things like a business plan and those sorts of things, because what they want to ensure is that your business is viable. And I want to also comment on the fact that some banks ask for your cash flow projections, and some persons will go and put together some numbers that fictitious or just arbitrary. The bank looks at your cash flow projections and they will look at that and say, okay, based on your cash flow projections, this is what I expect you to deposit over the next 3 years or next year or so, within a reasonable expectation, right? And if it is you come into the bank and start making large deposits over and above what you projected without a rational explanation or without some major uptick in your industry, then the questions can be asked. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we could go back. Yeah. Well, we'd have gone through. Yeah. So the 4 P's of your business idea, just to close off and reiterate what Mr. Toby said at the beginning. Before you enter into this whole process of going to register a business and then opening a bank account, you need to really understand and have an idea of what test the market before, You don't just jump into opening bank accounts and registering the business. You test the market before, make sure, and a tool that you can use is the 4 Ps. You can look at what service or what pain are you solving for somebody. Is this business your passion? Do you have a proven track record in this business? And do you have the patience to allow the business to grow? And once you could answer these questions along with the business canvas model, whereas just basically 7 areas which you could answer those questions, you could now enter into the whole process of registering your business and flowing down to your bank account. Because as Mr. Toby was talking before there, the banks and the financial system is getting a little more, they put it stringent because of nothing to do with us. It's inheriting a system where a lot of irregularities have been occurring. So therefore they are a bit harsher in terms of how they evaluate us when we go to them. So we need to be careful what we say, what we present to them, so that they will make decisions in our favor. In terms of creating, even in the process of cross and along with the bank account, NEDCO, and even the CreativeTT, they have advisors and persons who you could reach out to who will help you prepare the projections, those sort of things, so that you'll be able to go in with a presentable document so to be able to receive these services. Right? So that's what I wanted to close off with, because we have only 15 minutes for questions. So these, okay.
Pardon, go on.
No, I was going to talk about you didn't give me time to tell them where our branches are. So we have 5 branches: Tunapuna, North, Port of Spain, Scarborough, and San Fernando, and our central branch. We have our numbers on here. If you need any more information, if you think you need help to navigate the cross system or probably do the projections, especially the cash flow up, and even the income and expenditure projections, you can reach out to NEDCO for business advisory, and we will be able to support you there. So we could go on to the questions now.
Okay, thank you very much. So I'm seeing that we have some questions in the chat here. Not sure if you can see. So one of them was that they want to start a business, but they haven't done any work as yet. So they don't have any invoices, etc. like that. How can they still open a bank account?
They want to start a business.
You're ready to start the business?
They want to start up, say that again? They want to start a business.
They want to start the business, but they haven't done any work, and they have no invoices for the intended business. And they want to know if they could still open a bank account. But firstly, we need to ascertain if the business you want to start is a feasible idea. Yeah. She says it's an advisory research business. So,
trying to see if Jesse is still in the chat here. Yeah. But I think he has left already.
Yeah.
I mean, I could talk if I feel like.
There you go.
Go
yes.
ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good day, everybody. Yeah, so I mean, I understand the process of registering the business, etc., right? So I could do all that. But after that stage now, I register the business. But I want to go and look out for work. I mean, advisory and research is a big thing. You have grants for different organizations, whatnot, where you could do research for people. But of course, as I say, one of the benefits of registering your business as well as opening a bank account, a business bank account, it would make yourself look more credible, etc. So just in that process, you register the business already, but you haven't done any work for people. Could a person still open a bank account?
Well,
it will be based on the projections.
Yeah, technically you can,
Okay.
because it's, as you say, it's based on the projections. And once the, you have registration certificate and stuff like that. But what do you register? Sole trader or limited liability company?
Yeah, for the purpose, I think LLC would be better.
Be better. But do you have other persons involved in the business, or it's just you alone?
Yeah, I'm going to incorporate other people as directors and whatnot.
Okay. Right, yeah, so yes, you can. The only thing is that my recommendation is, before you do that, make a plan in terms of how you're going to get customers, because as much as it's good to have it for formality, remember the bank accounts have charges attached to them. And what you don't want to do is open an account with a minimum amount, not have any money going in, and your bank account going negative. So make a plan before my recommendation, make a plan before you get into it. Yeah?
All right, man. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Great. So another question that we had there is that company registry released the new obligations. Is it possible for you to provide clarification and information on how it affects new and existing profit companies in particular?
That would be very long.
Yeah, that's something, and we probably have to take
Yeah.
a little more time to get more
That's more time.
involved
Have to
in.
do our
Yeah,
work.
so yeah, we have to do something a little more in depth for that. Yeah.
Okay.
So as much as, yeah, so if the
in-
person want, they could reach out to us, and we can
I was
show
now
them
about to
move it forward.
ask that as well. So
Yeah.
does NEDCO offer assistance with business registrations? If a creative stakeholder wanted to come to y'all, would they be able to come to
Yes.
y'all to get assistance, etc.?
Yes, they could come to us for assistance.
All right, that's great. Another one asked about the offices.
Same
Squad.
like
Right. So where is the office in the central area? Is there one in Chagonas? I believe they had the office listings. You
Yes.
put them up?
You're putting the mark up?
Yeah. Are you seeing the offices? The in Shogunas, it's 81
Southern
Main
Main Road, Edinburgh Village, Gunners.
For
It's near.
payments. For payments, for what exactly are you asking? Is it for the business registration payments or municipal payments?
I think she probably talking about the cross.
Hi, good
Yeah.
afternoon.
I
Are
think
you
that can be
hearing
paid
me?
online. Yes, hi.
Yes, so he said that there were municipal offices at different areas to pay for the cross, yes. So I was wondering if there's one in Chaguanas?
Actually, I'm not sure, because I know that there's one in South. There's one in Tinopuna, Port of Spain. But I'm not sure, because I actually heard some of them Shogunas say that they have to go to South and go to make that payment.
I've had to go to
Okay.
Tunapuna.
Yeah. Or Tinopuna, you come to Tinopuna and make the payment. Or you can pay online too, You
Yeah,
can pay through your
online,
credit
there's
card.
Well, I
online
don't have a
options as
credit
well.
card, so I was
Ah.
okay going to the office to do the payment. I just wanted to know which one is closest to me.
Yeah.
So in Tunapuna, can you tell me where, or San Fernando?
Okay, so Tunapuna, do you know where there's a library in Tunapuna? Is it close? Do you have any idea
Yes,
of Tunapuna
yes,
at
I know
all?
where the library is, yeah.
The
Right,
offices
so
are across the road.
opposite the library. Opposite the library.
Okay,
Opposite across the road, yeah.
great, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, and I believe that was all the questions that we had. Unless there's anybody else who would like to ask any questions. Okay, we have
Oh,
one more. This is a good one. So is there a
is there a
process to
process?
convert a sole trader business to LLC, or does one need to close that company and open a new company?
There is a process. There's a form. I can't remember the exact form, but there is a form on the company registry, Ministry of Legal Affairs website. You can complete that form and make a request to change it from the LLC to another legal structure.
And if that will lead to a question also, so if you are just closing a company as well, you still have to do that as well, go online to be able to fill out that form to close a company too.
Correct. It's a different form to request a closure.
So if it is that you leave a company as well that is registered and you don't close it and you just have it running, that it's just dormant, is there any fees,
remove it.
anything that goes to that?
Well, two things. It depends. If it's an LLC, remember you have something called the annual returns to file.
Mhm.
So those things will become due, right? So
Okay,
you will have to sort that out. But eventually, I think after 5 years or so, if a company is not active,
They delist it.
they delist it. But
okay.
it may not mean that you are exempt from
But it may be
filing
that
a
they
certain of
delist it
the
and you
back
still
things.
have fees.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay. As well as the quarterly taxes to pay for LLC.
Was it context of because
I think the person is commenting.
Yeah.
Basically.
oh
Yeah.
yeah all right yeah as well as the company. Yeah.
Okay, so yes, that was a very informative session. If we have any more questions from anybody else, you can feel free to type in the chat or if you'd like to unmute and ask. If
Hi,
not,
good evening.
hi, Gaston. Yes, go ahead.
Well, you answered both of my questions already, but the assistance from NEDCO, is it by appointment or walk-in?
It's appointment, yeah. But it's better if you send us a correspondence and we will set an appointment here.
Mr. O'Brien and Mr. Toby also put their email address in the chat, so you all can also contact them if you all have any questions. They will be able to assist you through that email address. And there's also, if you all always have a question for CreativeTT, you all can always email us as well, and we can help assist you all with any other guidance if we need to put you all on to anybody, etc. as well. Okay, I think that was it for everybody. So we would like to thank you all so much for this informative session. We will, yeah, there, right. We will be sending out an email with the recap of everything from this one. And well, next week in our learning series, we do have the tax compliance webinar as well. So we'll hope that some of you all will be able to join us on that one after learning the information on how to register your business and also how to open your bank account now so that we can follow taxes. So thank you, everybody. I hope you all had a great session and we look forward to hopefully seeing you all next week.
Bye.